Prepare to get schooled on living outside the box.
On this chalkboard, there was the last penmanship lesson back in 1970, perhaps.
And meet the people whose creativity and vision made it all possible. It looks small and simple, but this tiny red building holds a proud record in New England. See why the new owners refused to crack from the stress of saving it.
Looked down and the floor was collapsing.
Our mission to find quaint and kooky converted homes now brings us into the beautiful Berkshires. Tree-lined streets in the heart of western Massachusetts will lead you to Pittsfield, where boating, fishing, and this little red building are treasured. For nearly 130 years, this one-room schoolhouse is where the local kids came to learn. But now it's a home where Bob and Karen Clydesdale come to relax.
I was just immediately drawn to the setting, the history. I've always loved old historic things, so it was just instant.
The Morewood School was built in 1843 and holds the record for the longest-running one-room schoolhouse in New England. So when the city offered the school up at auction, the Clydesdales raised their hands high. They weren't the highest bidder, but Karen's passion for the project won the prize.
There was a tree growing out of the roof. It had been empty for about 8 years, so it needed a lot of work. But she has a lot of good ideas, and they always turn out to be good ideas, so I followed her.
Karen's original plan was to reopen the schoolhouse as a daycare. But just as enrollment was filling up, her resolve was tested.
We had children registered to come here, and I got notice that one of the neighbors was going to sue the zoning. It was a cease and desist, and nobody could come here to school.
They studied alternative plans for years before deciding on a home conversion. They'd only paid $8,000 originally, but adding the creature comforts of a home would be much more costly.
I mean, it was a great deal for us, but then when it came time for the renovation, 10 times more than we paid.
But the investment paid off. The 900-square-foot home now has an open-area kitchen, dining, and living space. Above the main room is their spacious sleeping loft. Bob did much of the work himself, getting a crash course in carpentry along the way.
The roof line was sagging. We had to jack it up to get a straight roof line. As we were jacking it up, we were looking and looking, and nothing was changing in the roof line, and we looked down, and the floor was collapsing.
The rotten flooring was cut out, and what was salvageable was matched with new boards. When it came to repairing the walls, Bob uncovered lessons frozen in time.
These chalkboards started appearing all around the schoolroom, and on this chalkboard there was the last penmanship lesson of the teacher that had been teaching back in 1970, perhaps.
The avid readers had the names of their favorite authors painted alphabetically on each loft step. The staircase and the adjacent hallway were originally the boys' and girls' restrooms.
We had to work around the original plumbing, and some of the plumbing had to stay the way it was, so we had to think of some creative ways to cover up the old
room that may have once caused stress is now a place for solitude.
Here was the principal's office, which became our modern bathroom.
Above the main room is the cozy sleeping loft.
We could have extended it all the way across and had another bedroom up here, but the bedrooms would have been very small and very confined, and we would have lost that whole open look that we wanted for downstairs.
Bob and Karen's one-room home is riddled with reminders of its educational past, including 2 kids' carvings on the exterior, which the couple lovingly preserved. The schoolhouse may not have turned out according to their original plan, but just like the former students, they've learned a lot of lessons inside this small school.
The challenge is living in one room. You have to get along well. There's no privacy, but it's worth it. Here is just a very special, special place. It always has been for me.
So if a cookie-cutter condo isn't your cup of tea, then it's time to change your school of thought. With a little luck and a lot of hard work, a brothel, a water treatment plant, or even an opera hall could become your new home.